My name is Pierre. I'm an associate professor of geography at the University of Toronto. My main research area are energy policy, food policy, and economic development. I believe organic food is mostly a marketing approach rather than a scientific or rational one. The terms natural and organic food today essentially mean that no human brains were involved. So if you believe in organic food, you don't want something that was created by human brains and human hands. You want something, for example, fertilizer that was created in a bird's stomach. This notion that organic food is natural essentially posits that humans are not natural. The fact remains that humans are natural creatures and that our evolutionary advantage was our brain, and the fact that we're able to improve our food supply is something that we should celebrate. GMOs are important because there are today 7 billion human beings on this planet, about 1 billion of which are still malnourished, and we're going to add probably another 2 billion human beings in the coming decade. We're already running out of space to grow food, so our only real option is to increase the amount of food that we can grow on a small piece of land. The difference between natural and synthetic farming is where the molecule is produced. So if you believe that a molecule is a molecule is a molecule, if, for example, you're looking for nitrogen fertilizer, you can get it from the stomach of a bird. Whereas a modern plant will synthesize nitrogen from the atmosphere and will turn it into a form that is usable for plants. So on the one hand, you have nitrogen that is produced in the stomach of a bird, which is viewed as natural. On the other, you have nitrogen that is produced by capturing it from the atmosphere and bonding it with something else. But in the end, the plant wants nitrogen and it doesn't care where it comes from. Both organic and modern farming technologies use pesticides. I mean, we have plenty of insects and birds and mammals and vertebrates that want to eat our crops. The thing is, though, that organic farmers use pesticides that were around a century ago at the time of the Ford Model T. Now, of course, cars have changed in the last century, and so have synthetic pesticides. And today we use pesticides in modern farming, which are much better targeted in terms of delivering the goal that you're looking for. Whereas the type of pesticides that are used by organic farmers have a much broader impact. Any type of farming will require pesticide. It's just whether do you want to use the latest technology or do you want to use something that was around a century ago. Organic food safer for your family. Well, most of the food that you buy in our supermarket today is safe. I mean, there's rigorous testing along the way. The problem is that people tend to focus on synthetic pesticides as being bad for us. And yet the thing that make us sick, there are things that are completely natural, like listeriosis or salmonella. And paradoxically, a number of scientists have made the case that because they rely more on manure, organic producers are actually more likely to produce food items that will make you sick. Now, a common misconception is that what is really bad for us are pesticides. And yet everything that we eat has pesticides. It's been calculated, for example, that drinking 1 cup of coffee in terms of carcinogenic element is the equivalent of all the synthetic pesticides residue that you will eat during a single year. Cases of food poisoning today are 100 times less frequent than they were a century ago. So our system is not perfect, but it has improved significantly over time. And modern fertilizers and synthetic pesticides are very clean and won't be contaminated by things like listeria or salmonellas. Are organic products safer for the environment? The problem with organic production for the environment is that it is less productive. So you will need to use a lot more land to produce the same amount of food. And so that means less land available for wildlife, more erosion problems, and perhaps also more insect resistance. And that is because organic pesticides are not as targeted as modern synthetic pesticides. So paradoxically, a number of scientists have argued that pest resistance is more likely to emerge in organic production than in conventional ones. Now, the effect of conventional farming on topsoil could be argued to be generally positive. And that's because we have developed technologies in which we don't need to till the land as much as organic methods will require. For example, you can use Roundup-ready crops, be they soybeans or corn, which do not require tilling, which historically was the main source of land erosion. So conventional production, paradoxically, in some cases, will lead to much more significant erosion problems than modern production technology. Now, as far as soil vitality is concerned, this is a long-standing argument that has been made by organic producers. Yet there is no evidence that conventional farming technologies today, or modern farming technologies, are actually making the soil any less productive. I mean, we have decades of data showing that yields actually improve over time. And so if these practices were bad, for soil vitality, you would see decreasing yields. Now, the link between pesticides and cancer, again, you have to remember that what ultimately is problematic is the dosage, often more than the poison. I mean, everything in large doses can be bad for us. Now, it is true that today we die more of cancer than our ancestors did, but that's because we're no longer dying of cholera, malaria, and other diseases. A century ago, in a place like Canada or the United States, life expectancy was on average 47 years of age. Today, we're almost at 80 years of age. So if everything is killing us, how do you explain those numbers? Organic is typically regulated by marketing people rather than scientists. And why is it? That's because there is no scientific basis for determining what is organic and what is not organic. But in the end, a molecule is a molecule is a molecule, and a seed is a seed, and it does not really matter how it is produced. What matters is what it is. You could have, for example, two identical seeds, one which would have been produced through conventional breeding technologies and another through GMO technologies. That would not differ at all in any respect. But according to organic producers, one of these seeds, the one produced through modern technologies, would be deemed unacceptable because of the way it was produced, not the way it is.